This week's matchup is terrifying, but my advantage is that my Pokemon are faster, which is a little spooky considering the two Trick Room pieces that my opponent has. Uh, First, I have Floette here. I think it's the better of my Megas in this matchup, though Excadrill can certainly come. Psychic's there to chunk Ariados. It won't Oko it, but it'll if the Ariados has a reasonably bulky spread, but it'll come pretty close. Moonblast, Dazzling Gleam to spread damage around, and Moonblast just to get around like Aegislash Wide Guard, for example, as well as just burst damage. And I went with a really fast offensive set this week because I wanted to outspeed Mega Gardevoir. If Mega Gardevoir outspeeds Floette and takes advantage of Fairy Aura, I'm in a really bad spot. Uh, Next, we've got Excadrill, secondary Mega. Very similar spread and idea to Floette. Better into the opposing fairy types, but I don't think better overall. So this would be more of a mix-up. Uh, but yeah, same speed stat as Floette and after Mega Evolving and similar spread. Uh, I'll actually talk about Slowking last. We have Vivillon. Tailwind is really sweet this week. I think if I can get like Tailwind up, a lot of the things that my opponent wants to do, like with Hydreigon, if it's Scarfed or if Torch is Scarfed or whatever Scarf, they should be bringing a Scarf Pokemon. Or if they go for like Shell Smash with Blastoise, become not very problematic. Um, Outspeeding Superior is nice too, and then also her flying coverage is actually pretty potent into my opponent here with like Ariados, Superior, Tauros. So and not many things that resist it, so I'll be able to do good damage. Sleep Powder, as always, is really awesome, though I'm sure my opponent will have Lumberry or Chestoberry somewhere on his team. Uh, Dragapult. Dragapult is looking great here because it outspeeds the entire team. This is the primary reason why I expect my opponent to have a Scarf somewhere, just because being outsped by Dragapult is bad, but like, for example, Scarf Hydreigon being able to Dark Pulse it seems really potent. I have Sucker Punch to get around the two Shadow Sneakers and hit them before they hit Dragapult. I can take a Shadow Sneak from either one of them, though I wouldn't really want to take two. And then it's just a physically offensive set. So there's a lot of things that can blow up Dragapult if they land a hit. So it's definitely going to be a Pokemon where if I'm not like pinning the opponent's Pokemon with damage, I'm probably trading away Dragapult. So that's why I don't really want to lead it game one. But we'll see how things pan out. Arcanine, and by the way, for the nicknames this week, my opponent has Beaver in their online handle, so I went with a Beaver theme. Yeah, so this is a very Expert Belt Arcanine. Expert Belt giving a 20% boost to all super effective attacks. Flare Blitz for stab, extreme speed for priority, especially as like an anti-trick room option. Close combat to explode Hydreigon. Expert Belt matters a lot there, and Wild Charge, which with Expert Belt does over half to max HP Mega Blastoise. So, and also Intimidate's looking pretty solid here. Into like, for example, Aegislash. I'm expect Arcanine is low-key like the strongest looking Pokemon that I have into my opponent's team, so I expect this to come to every match. It's good in Trick Room, it's good out of Trick Room. It's got it resists Hyper Voice. It actually hits Aegislash. It hit pretty well, so I'm expecting lots of Arcanine today. And then finally we have Steve. Steve's the Pokemon. Steve and Excadrill. Slowking and Excadrill are the Pokemon I'm probably least likely to bring or going to bring least often. This is because with my fast mode, I'm a little vulnerable to Trick Room. I have Arcanine to help with that, as well as like a few other things on there like Sucker Punch, lots of Protects, etc. But I still want a Pokemon that can exist in Trick Room. It also has Trick Room, so it can reverse Trick Room, and Sludge Bomb, Fire Blast just for damage. Fire Blast over Flamethrower because one-shotting the opponent's Aegislash in shield form if they're just max HP is pretty cool. Yeah, and I went with Curious Medicine to, like, in case I end up in a situation where I've got Slowking in the back and I, like, Flare Blitz the into King Shield, I lose a stage of attack, and then I can swap in Slowking in order to reset that. But Though, as I said, I'm probably not going to bring this unless my opponent's clearly like has a really solid trick room mode that they've devoted a lot of resources to. Then just having this slow Pokemon should be really nice. Yeah, that's all I've got. This is week 6 of the draft league. This is the last match of the regular season. Um, my opponent is currently the only undefeated player in my division. If I win, I will cut. If I do not win, I still have a good shot to cut, but I definitely don't get that first seed, so I'll have to play a wild card round, a top 16 round. I won't get to go straight to top 8. But I mean, all that aside, it still comes down to the same thing as always. Just play the best I can to win whatever game's before me. Time for the battle. Alrighty, Gardevoir and Blastoise. I was hoping for just one. I'm not surprised by both. Let me write this down. Lopunny, I am shocked to see. I have no idea what that is doing here. That is not Mega Lopunny. It is base Lopunny. It cannot hold the Mega Stone. What it doing? Unless there's like some round shenanigans where it uses round and Mega Gardevoir uses round, but like, and Fake Out Encore is cool, but like, what it doing? I have no idea. I guess I'll find out. Lopunny, let's see, we have Mimikyu, Hydreigon. I'm thinking probably Scarf on that, but we'll see. And then Aegislash. Okay, so the original plan was to lead Floette, and I don't really see a huge reason to deviate from that. I think I'm gonna go these two. Just apply pressure early, and then game 2 and 3, I'll plan based on what like as items are revealed for my opponent. I think figuring out the items and movesets is like more important in this match than others for game planning. So let's see what happens. Let's see what we've got. All right, Lopunny is coming. Lopunny and Gardevoir holding the Mega Stone. I'm just gonna take like 10 seconds and look at Lopunny is moveset and just see if there's anything that immediately stands out as scary besides Fake Out, Encore, and Round are the big ones. Okay. It also gets Charm. That's good to know. I'm going to protect. I'm actually just going to double protect, get some more information. And I don't want to Mega Evolve yet because of Fairy Aura applying to the other side of the field, and just see what's going on. For also burning the Fake Out turn. After clicking those buttons, I've realized that if that thing is Encore, and it almost certainly does, I just made a terrible play. Ha! What a way to start out. But hey, at least I get that information. And okay, Sash is preserved. Hyper Voice. Okay. Encore is definitely coming out, and the question is which slot, right? So I think as if I could like go for, yeah, this is hairy because either slot could be Encored, right? I think I'm going to swap into Arcanine, just and then I think I'm going to swap into Arcanine and click Sleep Powder here into the Gardevoir. We know that that doesn't have a Lumberry, and if my opponent Encores, because Arcanine resists fire, resists Fairy due to its fire typing, and if Vivillon gets Encored, that's like the worst case scenario. Well, the worst case scenario is probably something I haven't thought of. That's the worst case scenario I can think of, but I'll still be able to play from there. Okay, Encore was into the Floette. It fails. Glad I swapped. Sleep Powder. Okay, so that is my Max Timid Vivillon is faster than Guardy. Lots of information to write down here. And it's taken one turn of sleep. Let's see. It's also Lopunny's faster, but that's not a surprise than Viv. I'll write down that Lopunny has Fake, Out, and Encore, and we've seen Hyper Voice from Guardy. Not that that's surprising. Uh, okay, what now? Um, I kind of don't like Vivillon. I mean, I kind of don't like Gardevoir existing, so I'm just gonna Flare Blitz that slot and actually Sleep Powder the Lopunny. Like, yes, I could get a Tailwind up here, but like waking up, my opponent waking up and setting Trick Room as I Tailwind would be quite bad. So, and so if that happens, I want to get a Sleep Powder off. Okay, Hydreigon coming in. Sleep Powder and Hydreigon. If it's Lumberry here, I actually wouldn't hate that because then I'd know that Dragapult is just faster. Okay, it just stayed asleep. Excellent. Okay, Flare Blitz did like wow. What is that? 86% ish into Gardevoir, and it stays asleep to the second turn. There's a 2/3 chance of it sleeping till the second. I'm staying asleep on the second turn. So now Gardevoir is guaranteed to wake up, but this is actually very excellent, right? Because unless like Hydreigon has Sleep Talk, which I'm just gonna note that down that that's taken no moves. I now can do something really neat, which is, let's see, there isn't really much on the opponent's team besides Blastoise, and my opponent already brought a different Mega that can swap into Flare Blitz. So I'm just going to Flare Blitz the Gardevoir here and click Tailwind. I think that this is just super duper consistent because I don't have to worry as much about Trick Room if Gardevoir is pinned by the Tailwind. Okay, Protect. Good to know that that's actually on there. That's one more turn for Hydreigon. But this is fine because now what I can do is I can Hurricane the Gardevoir and close combat the Hydreigon. I noted that Hydreigon moved before Vivillon there. I was kind of distracted, but which would make sense if it was either Scarfed or gone for Protect, but I can't really assume it's one or the other for certainty, so I don't think I get a lot of information out of that. I'm just going to close combat the Hydreigon, and then I could Sleep Powder here, uh, or I could just Hurricane, but I think I'm actually going to Sleep Powder here. It's 98% accurate. This only goes wrong if I miss. Uh, Whereas my Hurricane's only like 91% accurate, and this just means that I'm not like if I go for a Hurricane and my opponent, uh, yeah, if I go for a Hurricane and it misses, and it hits, and my close combat connects, I take 2 knockouts, and I don't want to give my opponent 2 swap ins at the same time. Expert Belt absolutely mattered, by the way, based on my calcs. So that might have surprised my opponent, but Expert Belt coming in clutch. Uh, okay, Gardevoir's awake. And notably, the fact that it's awake rather than asleep but about to wake up. Wait, no. Yeah, it was awake because it protected. That's really important because that means that my opponent can't like swap in and take a sleep powder without going to sleep. Mimikyu as the fourth has 0 turns of sleep. Okay, what now? I think I'm just gonna. I could close combat, but I mean, all my moves are recoilish in some way. I'll close combat and actually, no. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm not worried about Lopunny because it's Lopunny, and then I'm going to swap to Floette here because I don't want to take a fake out and lose Focus Sash on Vivillon. But I just want Floette in to do damage in Tailwind. Yeah. Okay. Fake out there. Flare Blitz. I don't actually take recoil thanks to Disguise. Finding out that these things are not Lum is like really cool. That's great information going forward. It makes my Vivillon look super potent. Okay, we've had 1 turn of sleep on the Mimikyu, so 1/3 chance it wakes up this turn, 2/3 chance it stays asleep. We have 1 turn of Tailwind remaining. Okay, yeah, I can work with this. because I have extreme speed to finish off Lopunny, just getting it down to Sash with a Dazzling Gleam is definitely sufficient. So I'm gonna just Flare Blitz and Terrastalize Dazzling Gleam. I don't see how my opponent gets out of this position. This is most excellent. Unless I'm missing something really big. Alrighty. Okay, Fairy or Gardevoir can take advantage of, but it's also like, it has to get into a position to do so. Huh, okay. That actually did not do nearly as much damage as I was expecting it to do to Lopunny. Is that a bulky Lopunny instead of a Focus Sash one? We've seen Fake Out, Encore, and U-Turn. We don't know the fourth move yet, but we do know 3. I mean, my guess is Protect, but I don't know that. Okay, Tailwind's gone. This is a little hairy because my opponent does have Fake Out, right? And I cannot Protect because but the thing is, Gardevoir being so low from that Flare Blitz is a huge deal. Because I can extreme speed. Now, how can my opponent? The only way my opponent can stop the extremes, I'm going to operate in the assumption that Lopunny is incapable of doing anything on its own that actually threatens a knockout, right? So if I extreme speed there, my opponent has to Fake it out, and if they Fake out there, then Dazzling Gleam goes off and I win the game. So I think that this covers for everything. And I can't be encored into. Yeah, that hits. I guess it's stab, but I'm still so surprised by how hard that Fake Out hit. Oh, because of the close combat drop. But that didn't change the calculus I just outlined before. So we take the game 1 win. Sleep Powder absolutely coming in clutch here. I leaned on it heavily and I was rewarded for it. As soon as I got a little bit of head, my opponent just couldn't break out of the sleep powder blender. All right, game 2. Winning this in 2 would be really, really good for my final standing in the league. Especially because first tiebreaker is head to head. My opponent is X and O. I'm X and 1. So then we'd both be X and 1, but I'd have the tiebreaker. Yeah, that would be real good math. But again, definitely getting ahead of myself. One thing at a time. Last time they led Lopunny Gardevoir. We've only seen we didn't see any moves from Hydreigon. We didn't see any moves from Mimikyu. We know Hydreigon is not Lum. So the only possible Lum holders are Lopunny and Aegislash. I am shocked we did not see Aegislash last game, but maybe that'll change. Has anything changed? I really didn't like leading this into Fake Out. And my opponent does have 2 separate Fake Out users, but specifically into Fake Out Encore, right? But I think I'm going to do that again anyway because it forces my opponent to leave Lopunny, and Lopunny isn't, how do I say it, the most threatening Pokemon my opponent has on the team. In fact, do I just lead Arcanine? Yeah, I'm just going to lead Arcanine, and then I'm just going to bring the same 2 in the back. Let's see how this goes. The downside of this is that I'm not able to swap in as well because Floette and Dragapult can't take hits on swap in the way Arcanine can, but I mean, they still can, right? But I think that this covers for a lot of the mix-ups I'm a little more concerned about. And nope, it's the same 2 things. Okay, so what do we do here? Trace Intimidate and Arcanine got intimidated. Yeah, that's not so great. Maybe I just needed to not do that thing I just did. Well, here's the thing though, right? Like, Sleep Powder's terrifying, but what my opponent cannot do is stop both Fake Out.
I think I just double. I do two things. I think I think I just go for it because my opponent can only fake out one slot, and if they double Vivillon and it goes down, like that's unfortunate. But then I get my Floette in a really nice position where it outspeeds the opponent's Gardevoir unless there really is like round shenanigans with Lopunny. Um, I should be chilling. Okay, there goes Focus Sash. There's the Flare Blitz. Yeah, Arcanine being faster than Guardy is like really cool here. Still did over half even with the Intimidate. That's real nice. And yeah, okay, there goes Vivillon. So I mean, that forced my opponent to stay honest, but I did lose a Mon from it. So was that the right play? I'm not sure. I guess we'll find out. Now I have Floette, and uh, I'm definitely Mega Evolving here. And then the question is, and I think I'm always going to be Flare Blitzing the Gardevoir slot. What do I do with my other move? I think I'm actually going to go for the Moonblast on to Lopunny here. It covers for swap outs better, like just getting a bunch of damage down because Flare Blitz should, even with the Intimidate, Flare Blitz should pin the Gardevoir. I did 52% last time. I have to do under 48 to miss the knockout unless like Charm comes out. Round. It was round shenanigans. I was like, well, we didn't see it game one. I don't think we're seeing it game two. Nope, it was round shenanigans. That is a Fairy Aura boosted round. That crit. Okay, I was definitely never surviving that, and I don't think the crit mattered. All right, Flare Blitz should take out the Gardevoir, but I have an intimidated Arcanine stuck on the field now. We know every move on Lopunny at least, and it doesn't have Protect, and it also can't actually hit Dragapult. But this is not looking good. Hydreigon. Okay, so if that thing is Scarf, as I do suspect it is, then we get to play a little mind game because I have Protect on Dragapult. I can protect Dragapult in close combat if I think it's going to target Dragapult. And I think I need to attack with Dragon Darts if it's not. I think I'm going to call it Scarf just because I don't think it would make much sense to keep bringing that thing unless it was Scarf. Call that this isn't going to be a Dark Pulse into Arcanine. I know that's a lot of calls. This goes wrong if my opponent encores the Arcanine, but I'm going to take the chance that they're not. But maybe that's dumb because what else are they gonna do? Because if they encore me here, if they Dark Pulse here and encore Arcanine, I'm just cooked. Okay, it was round. My opponent did not see the line. And oh yeah, that dang Intimidate. And actually, notably, that did under. Based on the damage it dealt, that was under 2/3. So it actually was a roll to knock out with the close combat the first time. Seems pretty bulky. I'm pretty sure at this point that this is the only thing I can do is double priority it at this point, right? Sucker Punch plus -1 extreme speed isn't a lot of damage. I just have to hope that it's enough. Can I use 17% with a Life Orb Sucker Punch? I think I can, even resisted. Yes. Okay. This somehow isn't over, and the somehow is that Lopunny isn't the most threatening offensive threat on the planet. Sucker Punch catching off guard there was so good. And I guess it now comes down to like, I can straight up ignore the Lopunny, right? So now it comes down to, does a Phantom Force Oko Aegislash? I should survive any sort of I should survive. There's nothing that this Lopunny can do to me except U-turn. I should survive a Shadow Sneak. And I think with the Life Orb, I get the knockout unless my opponent has substantial physical defense. I did calc that, but let me run the calc again. Yeah, so if they are max HP with no defense in shield form, Phantom Force is a 56% chance to knock out. They U-turn and substitute. Well, if I was Infiltrator, I would win the game on the spot. But I'm not. I am a clear body. So I think we're going to game 3. That was a really good play. Yeah, I ran clear body just to cover for like King Shield stat drops, which I think I still get the stat drop now, even if I break the protection with Phantom Force. But I'm not sure about that. I guess maybe I shouldn't have assumed that. But yeah, I think they went off of that one right there. Substitute was a really good tech. What can I say? I definitely think my lead and turn 1 were very weak this game. Giving up Vivillon turn 1 was so bad. We've seen Sub and Poltergeist on Aegislash now. Hydreigon, I strongly believe to be Scarf after the way my opponent played that. We've revealed more information than I maybe wanted to reveal. Mimikyu was the one who stayed behind last time. I gotta lock in. But yeah, I don't hate how I played throughout most of that. But I do think that the way I played the early game and was very weak there on game 2. So let's see. My opponent does have the round shenanigans. Gardevoir we've seen, Hyper Voice, Protect, and Round, probably a Psychic or Coverage attack in the other slot. So I'm guessing no Trick Room on Guardy. Is it worth bringing Excadrill for any reason? I mean, actually, yeah, right? Like, the only thing... If my opponent brings swaps to Blastoise, and I bring Excadrill, and they go like for a fake out Shell Smash, things do get a little hairy. But, what about like an Excadrill Dragapult lead? That's so hairy with my opponent still being able to swap around. I think Dragapult's got to be an end game piece, right? Like, I could go like Excadrill Vivillon. That makes turn 1 really awkward with the whole fake out calculus again, but does it really? Because I have the Iron Head pressure and that thing's clearly not physically bulky. So I'm going to try this. Excadrill Vivillon lead. And then Arcanine Dragapult back. And again, if they lead Lopunny, we're going to have to play the Fake Out Encore game. But like this time, I'm not going to just sack them on. I'll approach it a little differently than that. Okay, same lead. And the only thing on my opponent's team that can actually threaten Dragapult in really any, Excadrill in really any way, shape, or form is it would be like a Mystical Fire on the Gardevoir. But what I'm wondering is I could just Earthquake, and I really do mean just Earthquake, right? That because Mold Breaker would cover for a Hydreigon switch in, and Earthquake would cover for a Excadrill switch in, and yeah, I'm just gonna Mega. I'm gonna Iron Head. Excadrill would still take a lot, and I'm going to swap to, and I'm gonna swap out Vivillon. I can't afford to let it just drop, but Arcanine can take a fake out, an intimidated fake out plus a Hyper Voice pretty well. And the only way this goes like super duper wrong is if my opponent goes for like fake out plus Mystical Fire, but it looks like that was not the case. So yes, okay, Earthquake would have gotten me a ton of ground there, but on the other hand, I get, I mean, this chip into Aegislash, it's not going to be a lot, but it's not nothing. It's a shame to not get the Intimidate down on it because of the order the switching happened in. But also, it's like, I mean, look at the current board state, right? Like, I still have an Excadrill in front of a ground type that kind of goes through Protect with Piercing Drill. I don't hate that. I think I can just apply pressure. Like I have both of my Pokemon hit Steel super effectively. Um, I could get Encored into Ironhead, and yeah, that like, but is like that's not so bad. It's bad. It's not so bad. Or what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna Earthquake and swap back into Vivillon. Uh, I don't think I can lose too much maximum ground this way, and it gives me Intimidate again for later. Uh, and yes, my opponent can wide guard, but like they aren't gonna wide guard on the first turn I'm out, right? Okay, Encore into Ironhead. That's fine. That's totally fine. And now I'm using a move that this is randomly targeted, and if it goes into Aegislash, it at least does a. Well, I mean that did nothing through Protect, but I mean it did something through Protect. Okay, but this went really well. I'm really happy with this turn, and I think it's important. Here's the reasoning why. Aegislash does not have access to Protect. I mean, maybe it does, but we've seen King Shield. It normally runs King Shield instead, which does not block Sleep Powder. So I have a super safe Sleep Powder into that slot. I can also Ironhead that slot, and I don't think they really have a good swap in. Though I think what I'd rather do is okay, I'm actually going to go into Dragapult and Sleep Powder the Blockade. It's I'm not scared of a ghost move because of the Sleep Powder, and as long as I don't miss, I think I should be able to do something from here. That does break Sash, but like so be it. Man, if I just Iron Headed the Lopunny and my opponent couldn't swap into Gardevoir here, but now they're probably going to swap into Hydreigon. Okay, maybe this is a little hairier than I would have liked. I need Tailwind up stat. But do I take a Dark Pulse with Vivillon from Hydreigon? I do take a Dark Pulse, but I don't take like a Draco Meteor, so that's a little hairy. If my opponent brings out Hydreigon here, they don't know where the Sleep Powder is going, so that's risky. Because if I mean, no, they have a pretty good idea by the fact that I swapped in. Okay, so they did bring in Hydreigon. I might be cooked. And Aegislash only gets no turns of sleep because it's Lumberry. Oh, game 3 here, that was the worst time to find this out. Yeah. Aegis is Lum. That was not the correct play there from me. This isn't over. It's bad. It's not over. Let's see. Let me really think about this. I pretty much need to protect Dragapult or swap it out. Arcanine's the better switch in. I'm going to bring out Excadrill here. And my opponent could go for Excadrill with like with Hydreigon. But my guess is that they won't. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to high horsepower into. I'm going to high horsepower into this slot. There's no Hydreigon to swap in, which was always the big thing I was worried about. So no matter what, something's taking damage in the blockade slot. Even if they go for a King Shield, they're still taking a quarter of a super effective high horsepower from a Mega Excadrill. I definitely feel like I'm on the back foot here, but this is not over. They did swap. Okay, into Lopunny. That's fair. I get the Intimidate down on Aegislash, which I'm a huge fan of. High horsepower. Oh, they just stayed in. They didn't King Shield. I was sure they were going to King Shield. I see. I guess. I mean, I see why they didn't. They don't want to take damage through it still. But like, I mean, I will take the Aegislash knockout. That is, unless I'm missing something huge, right? Because Gardevoir can come in, but there's only so much that can be done there. Because into two fairy resists. We just don't know that fourth move. But my opponent has been playing like it's some weird coverage move. I'm guessing it really is just Psychic or Psyshock, something along those lines. There, okay, we see Hydreigon again. Close combat into that slot, it still seems pretty tasty. Yes, my opponent could swap into Gardevoir, but then they're not doing like any damage at all. I'm also going to Iron Head that slot. I really just want damage into that slot because once that thing goes down, I can take over the game with Dragapult, but not until Hydreigon goes down. And Iron Head means that if they want to buy some time, they have to, like if they want to swap out, they have to fully sack Gardevoir. Okay, Fake Out Dark Pulse. I take over half from that. It's definitely Scarf. I don't flinch. Iron Head goes off and does over half. Okay, and Arcanine flinches. I mean, Arcanine doesn't flinch. Arcanine flinches from the Fake Out, but no flinch from the Iron Head because it came after the fact. Okay, let me take stock of the situation. They have a full health Gardevoir in the back. I can Phantom Force it, or I can, after I've taken any knockout, or I can Iron Head it. And it probably just explodes based on the damage numbers I've seen thus far. If I think I can close combat plus Iron Head here, and no matter what, I get something good. My opponent could sack to get the defense drops, which would make things hairy. But like, so be it. Okay, they didn't swap Guardy. Here's U-turn. Okay, this gives them Fake Out pressure, but I don't care because Dragapult's faster than their entire team. And Gardevoir is immune to Fake Out, right? Because Lopunny doesn't get Scrappy till it Mega Evolves, right? Like, I'm like 80% sure of that. Yeah, it gets Q-Charm, Klutz, and Limber. Okay, Hydreigon's down. Aegislash is down. I think Dragapult just wins. Like, my opponent can do Encore stuff, but they'd have to hit a lot of U-turns with Lopunny. Because right now, I think the game really, like, you can really simplify down to simply Phantom Force knocks out Gardevoir on the assumption that a max attack Life Orb Phantom Force knocks out Gardevoir. And I'm just going to close combat here. And, well, that doesn't actually make any sense. If I really want to lock the win with as much likelihood as possible, I think I Flare Blitz and I Phantom Force the Gardevoir. There's no speed control up or anything, right? Like, I have 15 seconds, I should be fine. So then, yeah, I Phantom Force the Gardevoir, and I don't think there's anything my opponent can do about that. If they knock out Arcanine here, I think Dragapult still sweeps because Mega Gardevoir has like a base 65 defense stat, and with the amount of damage it took from a Flare Blitz, it's not a super bulky one. I think we win. I'm not going to call it though until I've seen everything fall, right? Like, and yes, my opponent can Encore Dragapult, but because I'm faster, after one Encore cycle, I'll break out. It's Psyshock. Okay. Actually, you know how that could have gone really wrong? If my opponent had Substitute Gardevoir and clicked Substitute there, I was super, super cooked, right? Like, I mean, not super, super cooked. Like, they could click it, but no, because, yeah, if they went for Fake Out Substitute there, I was completely cooked. And yeah, Gardevoir falls. I had no move to input there because it was just my Dragapult. They can Encore and they'll get a few U-turns off, but Lopunny's U-turn is not resisted U-turn is not going to take out Dragapult. It's just not happening. Okay, and now I click until I click Phantom Force until I can click Dragon Darts. There's not something funny here where like, okay, so if what happens here is I'm going to disappear, I'm going to reappear, and then I'm going to disappear, and then I think the Encore expires. And so then they can Encore again. Oh, wait. How much PP does U-turn have? 20. Okay, that's never going to run out. But that's not enough damage because I will eventually run out of Phantom Force PP. And when that happens, I'll be able to click Dragon Darts, I believe. Yeah, right now but I only have 2 minutes of my time left, so I need to be clicking fast through this. The rounding to preserve PP, or I guess it doesn't matter. Encore ended, but I have to Phantom Force here. Is there out like timer stall my time? Or just timer stall the overall timer? Because Lopunny's healthier than Dragapult is. Well, then I'm just going to lock in my moves as fast as I possibly can. My opponent actually has less of my time than I do, and I'm going to be very efficient with my time when I'm not actually clicking a move half the time. So, yeah, okay. If all of my Phantom Force PP gets fully stalled out, I'm chilling, I think, because then I just get to Dragon Darts and I win. Because you can't Encore into Struggle or anything like that. There's the U-turn, and now I just need to Phantom Force as fast as I possibly can. And my opponent having less time remaining than me isn't like necessarily. It's good from a they might run out of time perspective, but if my opponent had 5 minutes left, then they could stall out 5 minutes of the total timer, but they can't afford to do that with this amount of your time remaining. Okay, Encore wore off. What an endgame. Okay, so that's Encore, so I'm just clicking A again. Gotta lock into that Encore as fast as I possibly can. Lock into that Phantom Force. I'll have used half of my Phantom Force PP after this. I have 6 remaining. And I guess I'm trying to stall out my own PP. Or my opponent's your time, which I think I haven't been able to check my time because I've been clicking so dang fast. I'll try to look this time. Okay, I have 148. Yeah, I'm great on time. My opponent has 41 seconds. I think I should be fine, but we'll see. Unless there's significantly less total time allowed than I understand there to be, I think I should be fine because they have to click fast to avoid not timing themselves out. And the Encore animation and the text, it goes pretty quick in Champions compared to past games. All right, I have 5 Phantom Force PP remaining. And my opponent has 36 seconds. So what this means, if we see the 1 minute timer, I will sit there for a minute and stall out my opponent. Right? Not stall out my... Wait, no, I can't do that because that's their time. That was dumb. That wasted valuable time. Okay. More Phantom Forcing. The thing about Champions compared to like SV that I noticed is even if you lock your moves as fast as possible, it burns a little more time, probably because it's something to do with the game being server authoritative versus like locally hosted. Like my opponent's your time is definitely a finite resource. There's 25 seconds remaining. I didn't. I've lost track of my PP. I'm guessing I'm gonna have 3 left after this one, but or somewhere or plus or minus 1. But as long as we don't see the big like 3 minutes remaining, like in the next couple turns, I think I should be fine. Yeah, I'm still at over half health for all those U-turns and the one life orb take. Oh, I was at 2 PP. Perfect. Okay, so I Phantom Force here, then I Phantom Force again, and then I'll be freed from Encore. Three minutes left. But my opponent can only stall so much with so little their time remaining. And I'm Encored in, so I definitely just have to lock Phantom Force as fast as I possibly can. My opponent has 13 seconds of your time left. And, you know, there's, as I said with Champions, there's sort of a flat amount that's consumed every single turn, no matter how quick you go. So, okay, yeah, now I'm permanently out of Encore because I am out of the PP. So now I need to just click Dragon Darts and I'll win when time expires off of damage. And an Encore here will fail because I'm out of PP. And it's Dragon Darts time. My opponent has 4 seconds though, so I don't even know if we're going to get to see it. All right, Dragon Darts. Will this knock out? Looks like it's a roll. Yes. Okay, my opponent with 4 seconds of your time remaining. So, yeah. Okay. Wow. What an end game. Yeah. I think that my leads and were a little. I think my leads were a little flawed, and I'm definitely going to go over that and review it. And my early turns were a little flawed, but I'm pretty happy with how I played most mid games and end games, except for that whole situation with the Hydreigon. I'm still not sure why. Like, I'm surprised my opponent just let Aegislash go down, but who am I to complain? Yeah, this puts me in a great position uh, for my standings at the end of the league, and in lieu of a next week preview blurb, because this was my last week of the regular season, I'll cut to a basically an explanation of what Top Cut's going to look like, because it now looks like I'm guaranteed to make Top Cut. Okay, so I did some reflection, I did some analysis, and game 1, I don't think my lead was great. Game 2's lead in turn 1 were kind of completely unacceptable, and just losing Vivillon there was just massively like misweighing payout risk versus reward. So, but I think it's fairly obvious that there were like 83 different things I could have done there that were better. So, in terms of both lead and turn 1. So, what I really want to focus on for a little bit is game 3. Game 3, I started off in a really strong position. My lead was solid. My positioning early was solid. And then I made like 3 really weak plays in a row. And I just finished reviewing this with Everett, whose Discord messages you probably saw in the thumbnail. He's my friend. He's day-2'd Worlds before. He's pretty cool. Yeah, so the big thing that was kind of hairy was, well, there were several things. One thing to focus on, first of all, the Lumberry on Aegislash. As you can see, that was pretty bad. But I don't think shrugging my shoulders and saying whatever is right here, because we knew Gardevoir and Blastoise had Mega Stones, and I'd already put to sleep Hydreigon and Mimikyu. And my opponent was very likely to have a Lumberry prepping for my team, right? And it was unlikely to be Lopunny, and that left only Aegislash. I should have played under the assumption Aegislash had a Lumberry.
And how could I have played around that? Well, the turn I Sleep Powder, all I needed to do was set Tailwind, right? Suddenly Hydreigon's way less scary. Another mistake I made was shortly thereafter, I brought in Dragapult, and then Lopunny U-turned into Hydreigon. That should have probably been Arcanine. That should have always been Arcanine. And when I brought that in, I was thinking a little ahead under the assumption that Lopunny was going to stay in. But in retrospect, that was kind of dumb. Lopunny already had gotten an Encore off into Excadrill. And what more was it going to do? We knew the full moveset. It couldn't do anything from that position. It was always going to hard pivot or U-turn out to break Sash. And I kind of got focused on the play, like, a little down the line rather than focusing on just this game state in front of me. And so I locked something in as time started to run out. So that's maybe a bit of a reminder to me to, focus, make sure to cover for the really surface level stuff before thinking about a situation that requires several assumptions to hold true, when one of them might be a bad assumption that I'd figure out after just a little bit of thought, but I didn't think about enough. So, and then finally, let me check my notes here. So I think, the biggest mistake that sort of began my downward spiral was when I swapped out Arcanine when I had Excadrill plus Arcanine in front of Aegislash plus Lopunny, and I should have probably after going over that, we decided I probably should just close combated the Lopunny there. I was worried about King Shield stat drops, and I was worried about like a pivot into Hydreigon, but like if my opponent King Shields or pivots into Hydreigon, that's okay as long as I close combated the Lopunny. Then I'd get something done. If Lopunny falls, it's one knockout down. My opponent can't. Yeah, they get their passive piece off the field, but their Encore pressure's gone. They would have had to pay with Lopunny for encoring me into Ironhead, and I think this was once again an example of me. I think that my play of swap into Vivillon and Earthquake was really dumb, considering how strong Encore, not only how strong Encore was into my Ironhead, but also that's like really the only thing that Lopunny could do that would help my opponent's position. So assuming that my opponent would swap out, why would they do that, right? Like, Encore made a ton of sense there to protect Aegislash, and it was just really, really wrong of me. I assumed what Lopunny would do on two separate turns, super incorrectly, and I paid for it, right? And admittedly, that first time I'm like, this is fine, because even if my opponent stays in and encores me into Ironhead, I can just Sleep Powder after that. But that combined with the whole not using Process of Elimination to figure out that was very likely Lumberry was kind of unacceptable. So I'm actually a little frustrated with how the Game 3 went, purely because I got myself into such a strong position and then made multiple unforced errors in a row that just led to me being in a losing position. How would I win? Honestly, it's because my opponent left their Aegislashes exposed and just gave me back all the progress I'd lost, right? And it was still super close when it really didn't have to be. So overall, not too content about how that went, but like, just being sad about it isn't going to help unless I specifically change how I think during these matches. It took me a while to learn in traditional VGC, like, hey, slow down the pace of the game, and if we slow down the pace of the game, and use all my time, think it through, and when I did that, my win rate started going up because I was thinking through more scenarios, and I was making, on average, over a large number of turns, better decisions per turn. But now I think, now that I'm more used to using a lot of or all of my time, I need to focus on the order of priority for considering things. I think exploring how a long-reaching branch might hash out is not our super reasonable use of time to do in great detail, when I could be thinking about what's my opponent thinking to do with the current board state, and then only then, after that's hashed out, think through it, what's left. And obviously, it's not so simple. Sometimes to understand the current board state, you have to think a few turns in advance. But right now, I'm way over-indexing into the few turns of advance in specific situations, rather than considering what's right in front of me. Okay, so let's transition to talking about the league at all. This was my last week of the regular season. There are actually 7 weeks of the regular season. This was week 6, but every player gets one bye, and my bye is on week 7, so I am done for the regular season. I finished 5-1. And I should have the bracket up on the screen. The first place in the Incineroar Lovers division, the red division, gets to go straight to top 8, while second and third go to a wild card match in top 16 effectively. But the thing is, I don't know where I'm going to be. Going X and 1 guarantees that I will make cuts. So there will be another draft league video coming, and will it be top 16 or top 8? Not sure, because it depends on how that final week hashes out, where I have a bye, but other people do not. And the most likely scenario is that I will not finish in that first seed, because someone else will finish at 5-1 and have a better tiebreaker than me. But it is there are currently, with all the games still remaining, 5 people at X and 1. But 2 of them are facing in like an hour for week 6, which will knock one of them to 4-2. And 2 of them are facing next week, which will knock one of them to 4-2. So there will only ever be 3 5-1s. I'm guaranteed to make cut. And there is a somewhat convoluted way that I end up in the first seed, where I need certain people to win and certain people to lose in a certain pattern. But the by far most likely scenario is I will be playing in the top. I will make cut and be playing in the top 16 wildcard. So until I post my next video for that, which won't be for a bit because week 7 has to play out, and then I'm competing in the World Championships. I think that we're taking a little break for the World Championships. I don't remember if that's before the wildcard rounds or after. But my focus is going to be on that for the next few weeks in terms of Pokemon time. But yeah, at the end of the day, I guess all this really boils down to is I will be moving on. Next Draft League battle video incoming, and that will be an elimination match. So, till then, wish me luck.